Quirked up co-hosts with a little bit of swag, bust it down sexual style. But are they goated with the sauce? Only one way to find out. Stay tuned and keep listening to Going Off with Rap Critic and Muse. RC, how you doing this fine week? Snowed in?
I'll try. Well, first of all, I'm trying to figure out what that beginning thing was.
Too bad. It's gonad style, baby.
And second of all, no. When it comes to political figures, I'm more of a Lewinsky person myself. You know, because I think her story is very interesting. You like that? Snowed in. Woo, a little bit of political humor there for you while I fix my tie.
And Chelsea Manning's right there.
Yeah, damn it. Why did I go with that? More topical.
You went back a whole generation. Half of our listeners don't even know who Monica Lewinsky is before their time.
Who am I? Fucking, who's the dude with the big chin?
Jay Leno?
Yeah, what about Jay Leno over here?
It's so funny. Like, this dude put how much of his life into the entertainment business, into his craft. And it's just, you just ask me, hey, who's the dude with the big chin? And it was my first fucking guess. That's your legacy, asshole. That and that you love cars a lot.
Yeah.
If you are listening to us on Spotify, before we get too deep into this, go ahead and give us a star rating. It's right on the show page. It's pretty easy. It should be right there. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and a little short review. That helps us out too. If you have an album that you would like to request us to review on the show, head on over to our joint Ko-fi. That is ko-fi.com/goinoff. That's GOINOFF. And we also both got our own individual Ko-fis, Patreons, and YouTubes and Twitters.
That's
so there's
right.
plenty of ways to follow us. I've got the Fan House. It's fanhouse.app/riffcoms.
And I got twitch.tv/rapcritical where I do my music and gaming streams. And of course, patreon.com/rapcritic, where if you become a $2 patron, you can help me, you know, with supporting my show and help me get to the $1,500 goal I'm trying to get to. Plus, you get a whole bunch of perks like joining the Rap Critic Discord and hanging out with fans and me, you know, on there. And we have like movie and game nights that I'm like setting up and stuff like that. Plus, you get to see episodes early and you get to see exclusive episodes of my movie podcast, all that fun, sexy stuff. I'm trying to get better about like cataloging the things that I'm offering. Like, we're like, oh yeah, I should like tell people that I'm doing this.
And the Fan House has been popping off. Every day, I'm posting 2 live Kids Bop song reaction videos in works to a ultimate review countdown looking at the absolute definitive best and worst Kids Bop covers. We've got 60-something posted already, and there's almost 900 of them total. So, we got our work cut out for us, but you can see my progress posted every day. 2 songs every day. Fanhouse.app/riffcoms. Subscriptions are $5. And as far as requesting albums go, boy oh boy, we've got an indie instrumental album. We've got a hip-hop classic, and we've got a underappreciated, possibly unknown little gem of punk rock from the early 90s.
Experimental punk rock, you could say.
We gotta start with Short Bussy and Baby's First Bus Ride.
And
Yo.
Yeah, we got that conversational stalemate where it's like, oh shit, wait, we both were about to say something, but then we both noticed that the other person was going to say something, so we stopped to hear what they were saying.
I enjoyed myself a good bit with this and thought that these were some pretty solid pieces of, sometimes I would say unfortunately short pieces of instrumental music. What did you think?
It's some chill ass, basically lo-fi, but with a bit more organic instrumentals like flavored throughout it, you know what I'm saying? And it's good for what it is. It's just, I don't think it it doesn't blast through or transcend the genre or anything, but it's a good ass, solid ass time, most definitely.
I would really like to see someone rap over these beats.
That's the thing that was just killing me this whole time, that I was just like, the repetitiveness of this as a beat is a lot more acceptable when you've got like someone rapping and doing lots of stuff over it the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've ever listened to a song. Like, I remember I listened to the song by Mos Def called Speed Law. These gassed up jokers inspired the Speed Law. And it sounds like such a cool, intense joint. And then I remember listening to it without the lyrics. And it's like, it feels like so much more half energy than I was expecting it to, because Mos Def's lyricism does so much. You know what I mean? And so listening to these tracks is like, they're cool, solid bedrocks for something else to happen. And it starts to get annoying that that other thing isn't happening. And there would be times where it would be like, almost something felt like it was about to happen. Like there's one track where you feel a bit of a trumpet like come in, and it sounds like an organic trumpet. I think it was on a First Day Somewhere New. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, and I was like, ooh, is it gonna go to a part where it gets like a whole solo bit? Like, this would be cool. Like, yeah, next level jazz, where it's just like, it's updated, aesthetic sound. But then it's just like, oh, we're just gonna be giving all the instrumentals like, their solo still. But that kind of doesn't happen. So it ends up feeling like just a bit of a step down of the experience you could have been getting. You know what I mean? As I listen to it.
My favorites that stand out on their own more than the other ones, I would say, would be Rising Action. It's the one that kind of has like the whoop, whoop in the background. It's got like bongos going
bloop,
on.
Bloop. I didn't like that one as much. I thought it was okay.
I dug that one.
It has the reggae stabs in it, so of course that always gets me a little bit. But that was honestly by the point where I felt like it was getting like a little generic with the beats, where it's just like, okay, so what is the difference between this song versus that song? You know what I mean?
That was the point of the album where that actually kind of stepped up for me. It was the first one that kind of made me take notice. I didn't understand why it had a random snippet of a news report at the end, but I thought it worked in the context of the song. I also really liked El Gato Verde. Again, there are some instruments that I'll pop for every time. Some of them we've talked about on the show before. Xylophones, I am here for xylophones. Accordions, I am here for an accordion. Bongos, you fucking put bongos on a track? We got bongos right out the gate in El Gato Verde. Yeah. And this one was just fucking floating, very airy, and then it had the horns coming in, and a funky beat at the end. When it actually does kind of layer on top of it, like you were saying, the more repetitive ones, they're okay for what they are. And it's like, this is as long as it needs to be. This doesn't need to go on any longer because I've already got the feel of it. The ones like El Gato Verde, where they keep stepping up and adding stuff, it's like, ooh, okay, I like where this is going.
With the new age sense that they kind of put on top of it, kind of feels like it feels like this is the music where when you're like putting on a VR headset, it's like, welcome to the digital world, and then, they gotta have the soothing music to like kind of like, calm you down from how freaky it kind of feels experiencing the new shit,
Man, talking about creating a fucking atmosphere, we gotta go straight into the next track, Grey Water.
Grey Water, that was the one.
You got wind chimes, you got cars screeching, you got vocal samples, you got chickens.
Chicken noise. The bass.
You got everything.
Yeah, the bass plays for a little bit, and then like you hear like a sound effect, so you're like do 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 do, and it fits.
It's like, what?
Yeah, but it's like layered in, and like they put like effects on it in a way that makes it like doesn't feel like it's popping out too much. Like it feels like it's a part of the beat. Like there's a part where you hear like the fucking car skirt. And it actually feels like it's part of the beat as it happens. So like you can imagine the music video where like the cartoon character like skirts up to you and like says something real slick and then skirts off, Like
Another one, Snake Skin, with you got some trippy drums going on, and then the little slight rattlesnake's tail kind of going in the background. This is the longest track, I think. It was almost 4 minutes, but I was just vibing. Like, I was chilling and listening to this shit. It's such a breezy listen to
vibes, straight up. My favorite tracks going into it was the what was it? The First Day Somewhere New.
That's a good one.
And
the jazz trumpets.
Absolutely, the last track. That one got me the most. One was the most atmospheric for me. The one with the prominent hi-hats and the gently sailing violins, where you really feel like the character of the music floating above it. That was the crescendo, the fucking pièce de résistance of the whole thing. I really enjoyed that.
It had the fucking break beats. It was just like probably the most. Well, there was that one, and then there was another one that actually had like record scratching, or was that one? It might have been the same one, but it was like the one that sounded the most authentically hip hop. Then you got, like, the bus driver being like, all right, we're stopping the bus for a minute. And then it's like, I guess that's where the second one would pick up. It's like, we're getting back on the bus.
Yeah, and I thought this was like a kid's album at first, like, because it was like Baby's first bus ride. I was thinking like, oh, is this gonna like an instrumental album for children? And so when I saw the piss break, I was like, wait, what's going on?
Maybe not. Yeah. So many of these had such cool moods to them. Yeah. And so many of them were such, like, the thing is, they're all very distinct moods. They're all very different. And for an instrumental album, I'm very impressed by that. That they don't really run together too much. That they all kind of offer something different. Like sometimes you got a funk guitar and more of a West Coast sound on textbooks I have written down. Mm-hmm. And then other ones you got like more horns on the more prominent on Charlie the Great and First Day Somewhere New. Yeah.
And I remember Homecoming specifically gave me that. You ever watch Hey Arnold?
Yes.
You know the
yeah,
like the just chilled out fucking vibes on that show, you know? Like that's what it gave me on that track specifically, where it was just like, oh shit, I feel like it's, you know, wintertime in New York and I'm kicking it with the football head, you know, like
Hell yeah. I really wish there was like at least one, because I'm thinking about it now, I don't think that ever happened. I wish there was a track that actually had like bus sound effects.
Yeah, like incorporated into the beat.
Yeah, like a song that
the little decompressing, like, you know.
Oh man, you know how fucking. I mean, I didn't even ride a bus that much, but how like oddly nostalgic it would be if there was just a song that like sounded like you were riding a bus with the window open.
Oh, man.
You could just kind of hear the wheels rolling.
Right.
And the wind blowing. Oh, fuck.
No, I used to take public transit a lot as a kid, and I'm just like, it's just that feeling of like, oh, yeah, you're just around other people. Or that, oh, man, there was that one, like, there was, you know how, like, old designs of buses, and you just think about that specifically? There was this one, like, design where it was, like, the windows were green tinted or something like that, so it just gave that, like, you know, it gave you that feel of like, oh, man, I'm in the Matrix world feel, like, especially as a kid, you know, when you're on the bus. And I remember that was the lady who was, like, when we were working, my mom was working at a specific certain time, and it was just like, oh, hey, we're always the last people off this bus. So that lady would give us a ride specifically to our house. So it was like, oh man, we got bused, like, specifically directly home. Like, we're, like, special, you know, like, because the lady just happened to be, like, where she needed to drop off the bus just happened to be near where, you know, we were going. So it was like, yeah.
That's sweet.
But, yeah, this brought back those vibes, you know, those chilled out, it's the end of the day vibes, you know, everything's rolling down, you know what I mean?
I don't know to what capacity I would necessarily listen to it again, but I would definitely put this on in the background for sure. Like, I'm sure that's not their goal, is to get someone to rap over it. I'm pretty sure they're presenting it as, like, a standalone thing, and that's the goal. But I really do. I would love to hear someone rap over this. I think it would elevate it.
I mean, there was one or two of these songs, I think it was the first one, where I was just like, this feels like this could be like a pop song, like one of this could be the backing beat for, you know, the modern pop song with vaguely pensive lyrics about what the world is really going through in these day and age, you know, like especially with the background singers moaning and crooning in the background, like on that track, like, that shit totally could have worked, like.
I was so curious. I was like, why? Like, at first I didn't know it was instrumental, so when I heard the vocals in the background just going, cocaine.
Yeah, you thought something was gonna happen.
I thought something was gonna happen. And I was immediately looking up lyrics, and I couldn't find them, and I was just like, oh shit, okay, this is just instrumental beats? Shit, okay. That's fine too. Ultimately I walked away with a 3.5 for this. How about you?
I got a 3.5 on the dot as well. Where it's just like,
check it.
Yeah, it's definitely solid stuff. Like, it's definitely like, you can throw this shit on your fucking lo-fi playlist for sure. And like, it's not the specialist of the specialist of the special, but not everything fucking needs to be, you know. Sometimes you just need mellow moods, you know. So sometimes shit just need to be like a chill-ass, average, chill-ass mood, and it fits that. So,
for sure. Up next, we've got, I'm going to assume, Wrist of Kings requesting Last Temptation of Reed from Lard. The supergroup of sorts. We've got your boy, Jello Biafra of Dead Kennedys and countless side projects on lead vocals. You've got members from Ministry and other, that's where the industrial bit would come from.
Is that so?
And I have, despite listening to just about everything Dead Kennedys had to offer, not knowing that this ever existed.
I have heard that they're coming to take me away, haha. They're coming to take me away.
The original, probably, yeah.
Yeah, is that from something before this? Or
yeah, that's it was like a novelty song from like the 60s or 70s, I think.
Okay, because like I remember there was a Beavis and Butthead episode that was called, they're coming to take me away,
They took liberties with it, but we'll get to that one.
That's awesome,
when we get there. That's been also like a kind of a thing I've noticed with Dead Kennedys also specifically, so I guess it's a Jello thing where like they did a cover of Viva Las Vegas and kind of made it theirs. They did a cover of I Fought the Law and made it about the assassination of Harvey Milk. Like,
oh wow.
They always take these things and put a weird kind of twist on it, which was no different here.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Can I tell you, going into this, like listening to this for the first time and being like, what is this thing that's unfolding in front of me? And and it was like, it was especially with the Coming to Take Me Away song where it was just like, oh my God, this is 1990. And it sounds like nothing like the rock of the time, with the digital sounds and the experimentation. And the fact that it goes on so long, like for a punk rock track, like it's so like not the typical like sort of thing with how weird it was. And so it was like one of those things where it was like, I could have swore I remember hearing at least part of the song before, but it was like, I don't remember it being this type of intensity where it sounds like it's like fucking early 90s video game music or some shit, Like this is so fun and weird and experimental in this way that like makes you see the uniqueness of it. And that's what I was thinking, like the first thing I wrote down was like, holy shit, this is like heavy metal System of a Down / Devo. And that is the strangest, coolest thing. Like with the way the guy talks, and it's like he's being real weird, but if you listen, he's actually proving a point about society. Like I love that energy so fucking much, where it's just like you can just listen to these songs as like the weird, strange exercises in musicality that they are, but then you can also listen back again and be like, oh, the reason why he's talking weird like that is because he's playing the character of da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, I fucking loved that listening to this album,
With Dead Kennedys, they, especially being around in the 80s, was very reactionary to the Reagan administration.
Oh, I can fucking imagine.
Being in 90 is still kind of dealing with that to an extent, but also now dealing with the Bush administration, the first
one, yeah.
Well, actually, I forgot he only had the one term, but yeah, we're talking about HW.
Yeah, it's true. Isn't it funny? It was so short.
Actual W. Tracks go in a couple different avenues on this album. Some are explicitly political about very specific people, as the case with the first two tracks right back to back. Fork Boy is about, I had to look this up, Samuel Pierce, who was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under the Reagan administration. So we're talking about selling out minorities, and Samuel Pierce, as a black man,
oh my goodness,
is the kind of precursor to fucking Ben Carson.
Herman Cain head ass motherfucker. Wow, that's insane. Isn't that crazy? Where it's just like, I just thought this was just like, oh yeah, crazy. It's like, oh, these crazy hard rock boys are gonna make this song about a fork boy, yeah. And it's just like, no, we're actually talking about this deeper. Like, it's so that funny thing of like, I thought, punk rock music, Repella was just saying, fuck you, stop telling me what to do. It's like, no, we're mad at specific people.
So with Fork Boy, it's an odd nickname to give. It's just because his name is Pierce, and at one point they say, a fork is a cold and shiny tool to pierce, tear, and ingest. Buy out his next target with the last one's pension funds. Thousands more thrown out of work so Leona won't have to settle for a mint. I'm guessing to talk about Leona Helmsley. Picked by the FBI to be the Black Pied Piper.
Oh, I'm looking at that right now, yeah.
After Dr. King died, watches soap operas on TV while 6 billion disappear from HUD. Who are you working for? What did you hope to gain? Why do you hate your past so much you destroy the ones you love?
The HUD budget was cut by 70% between 80 and 87, despite a crisis of rising homelessness. Like...
It's relatable because we're seeing it again, Mm-hmm. But it's like, man, I guess thanks for making me aware of this guy.
Thanks for reminding me that things don't change.
And like, I've heard of, in passing, Noriega, But I don't know a lot about Noriega, so...
Yeah, no, I know he's a rapper named himself after him because in the 90s, that was the thing of rappers naming themselves after, like, notorious figures, you know, like Tragedy, Gaddafi, and, you know, Capone and Noriega, and, you know, just that old Scarface, for God's sakes, you know.
Noriega had the unflattering nickname Old Pineapple Face among Whoa, how do you say that? Panamanians? Panamanians.
Yeah.
Because of his pock-marked complexion. So we've got like songs from the past, like Holiday in Cambodia about corrupt dictators from Dead Kennedys, and here we got Pineapple Facey. Here's why I'm annoyed that I wasn't aware of this album. Because, like, if you like Dead Kennedys, you're going to like this because it's like the spiritual successor, but a different band. And it's like, why the fuck did it take me this long to listen to this? Because it's basically the same kind of emotion and feel.
But it feels like to the next level, like, musically, right? Like...
Because now you got the addition of the industrial aspect that wasn't there with Dead Kennedys. But Dead Kennedys, the most you had was maybe some thrash elements, but... not so much metal as you would get here. It definitely adds to the aggression in a very interesting way.
Just the lyrics in Pineapple Face I wanted to point out where he says, voodoo priestesses and interplanetary crack, I shall be released. Thanks to my red underwear, dignity battalions terrify and rule the streets. Pictures of the Smurfs tattooed on the side of their Jeeps. Like, I think, that was the part where, like, the music, like, gets, like, weird and light and dreamy. So it's so weird that these, like, words are being said. But then, like, it thrashes back down and kind of gets on the hardcore shit. And then you really hear the lyrics, like that slowdown point was the point that made me start to pay attention. I'm like, oh, wait, this is about something. And then, so when it came back and where he says the shit like, all I did was double cross the CIA, GE and Lockheed do that every day. And I was like, we're going hard. The gringos seized all my pottery frogs and teddy bears dressed in camo fatigues. The Hitler poster by the Christmas tree. Save me, Tipper, they're blasting Bon Jovi at me. It's like, whoa.
Fucking Jello has a way of being scathing and biting, but also, like, kind of funny.
Like, like, it feels absurd and random, but, like, if you listen a little closer, it's like, it's totally not at all. Like, he's just using that to, like, dig in the point even further, you know? Like...
Jello has an energy about him where...
It's that Devo
he gets very
energy.
excited. And he crams a lot into a bar sometimes to where he kind of loses track of... rhyming or loses like
rhythm, but it's like the emotionality is kind of like what you're, you know, glomming onto as it's happening, you know, so you're like enjoying the manicness, you know, like.
I didn't see this coming and I've never listened to the album before, so I didn't know this was here. This is the avenue of the album I wasn't so keen on.
What?
Mate Spawn Die.
Oh, you didn't like that one?
This one, way more industrial right out the gate, which I was like, whoa, okay. Now, this one, though, we're taking a break from the political satire here, and we're going to take an awkward, uncomfortable look at Jello's failed love life, and it's weird, man. I don't necessarily like it.
I didn't know that it was like really going into that. I thought it was more of like a, you know, deconstructing society in general of like romantic comedies just make us not think about love and, you know, and so we just kind of, it's the hypnotizes into just doing whatever. In one corner of the ring, that cherished myth falling in love magically solves every problem you've ever had. In the other corner, spoon-sized shredded dreams. The gods must be lazy. The moviegoers must be crazy. That's where I was like, as I was listening to it, I was thinking about it in the grand scheme of like, oh yeah, this is kind of what's happening to people as we go like, oh no, you know, if I fall in love this time, it'll totally work. Unlike the, you know, all the other times it's literally proven to not work out, you know, like. I
guess if I didn't know it was about a specific thing, and this is from They're Coming to Take Me Away, but I might as well just go ahead and address this now, because that's another one that I honestly wasn't a big fan of. Jello Biafra wrote it in reference to the collapse of his marriage. His ex-wife ran off with ex-Fenders vocalist Frank Discussion.
I read this. Yeah, like, because like after I listened to it the second time, I was just like, whoa, that's a, wait, what? Like another member of the band.
It's really just kind of Jello venting about his marriage falling apart.
I see.
And I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to him just being the political satire guy that him just ranting about. I don't want to call it like incel territory.
Right. Like it's
almost there.
Yeah. Like it doesn't have the. It doesn't have the whininess of it. It has more of like the. What is the word? Like it's more like. I guess, and couched in like these other songs that feel like they're about the world at large. So this kind of feels like everything is getting a pessimistic look at it, right? And so it's like, and now we're talking about how relationships and putting a pessimistic eye on that, right? Like, so that's how it comes off in the context of listening to the album, you know?
This one, I'm gonna go ahead and say, is my favorite cut on the album.
Yes!
Drug Raid at 4 a.m. Oh my god. This is the most frantic I've ever heard Jello. He's not even really singing, he's just shouting.
I love it so much, especially when I was listening to it for the first time. And, you know, like I said, like, you listen to a song expecting some sort of cadence or rhythm, and then when you just hear him fall out of it, you're just like, oh, what's happening? But, you know, that's the type of shit that really grabs you and pulls you and goes like, oh shit, this is about something. This isn't a scene. You know what I mean? Like, we're in a place right now, you know? Get out of that bed, lay on the floor, get out of the bed right now, right away, get down those stairs. I don't care if you're nude, get down on that cement. I don't care if it's freezing. Where are the drugs? We know you got the drugs, shut up.
It's so funny that the lyrics on Genius, he's going so fast, like not even all of them are like noted. Like he's just going so fast, you can't even keep up with him.
Yeah, he's like, who are you? Your name ain't on the list. Where are you supposed to be? What's that, NWA? Turn that off. I love that. And you're like a scratching on the record.
I guess we can't talk about the song without giving away the punchline here.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so fucking good. So yeah, after the whole song, you hear all of this shit, we're just like, what the fuck? And then, of course, you know, there's a verse in there where it's like, random neighborhood sweeps, copters break up house parties, zero tolerance for pot, easier to get hard stuff, costs over 3 times more to keep an addict in jail than treat those trying to quit, but no drug war funds for clinics. And it's just like, holy fuck. But then it gets to the end where he's like, you're all gonna wind up out of the street, say one word of this and we're gonna get you later. Do you fucking know that? You know that? I bet you stole those tires in the garage too. Yeah, you fucker. Oh, whoops, sorry, wrong house. And then
and the music cuts out and you just hear, whoops, sorry, wrong house.
It's just like, holy shit.
The next one, oh man, is even more off the rails in its own way. Can God Fill Teeth? This one, it starts with Jello telling us that the song is specifically inspired by an advertisement he saw, which is interesting that we're even given that context. Yeah. Because normally he's not that generous. Normally it's just, you fucking figure it out.
This song is, it gives you the genius annotation of what inspired it.
Yeah, it's like, anyway, so I saw this thing and it said, can God Fill Teeth? Saw this on the side of the road or whatever. And what's interesting, because to my knowledge at least, I've never heard a song where Jello kind of turns his attention away from, like, the people doing, like, fucking up everything for everyone, and turning the attention to, like, the Alex Jones kind of, like, audience. Mm-hmm. Like, the people who have like, fallen victim to the conspiracy theory, rabble-rousers and stuff like that.
The people who've got protagonist syndrome, where they're like, well, the scientist that nobody's listening to must be right, because he's the one that, you know, they're ignoring because the conspiracy theory, instead of, like, you know, the way science normally works is just, like, people who confer the most on the most stuff where that you can double-check the shit. Those are the people who end up being accepted by science because we don't know everything and we peer review shit. That's what you do. But they're like... Yeah,
exactly.
No, but because they're trying to shun this guy and keep his voice from being heard, it must mean that it is the truth, you know?
Yeah. Jello plays a character in this song of a person who's been led to believe that the government is spying on him through his teeth, so he removes all his teeth.
Yeah. And doesn't he mention at the beginning where he's like, but wait a minute, didn't I just read about how the cops are getting parents to plant bugging devices in their kids' teeth so if they disappear, they can track them before they wind up in the backs of milk cartons and all that? And didn't I just read that these devices are too late?
And the voice just kind of gets like more and more like out there and angry.
Yeah, and they didn't even tell me. No wonder every bad thing in and out of my mouth keeps winding up on my employment record.
Oh, God. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, all those billings, all those crowds. I'll show them who's the boss of my big mouth.
Oh, my God. And then just fucking takes pliers to his teeth.
And the way that, like, you know, you hear the music being all, like, weird and kind of, like, you know, disjointed and all this shit around it. But then when the fucking drilling heavy metal parts, when you actually can hear the personification of the fucking drill going, and you hear someone going, like,
oh, God.
It sounds like fucking Beavis and Butthead, like fucking Beavis and Butthead skit where, like, you know, Butthead is drilling in Beavis' teeth or some shit like that.
Yeah.
It's so insane.
Oh.
You've got to listen to this track, like.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man, it was like, oh, where do all these wires come from? How far up into my skull do they go? I pull out more and more copper spaghetti.
Oh, my God.
It's so insane.
I think that's the last really good track, in my opinion. I think the album kind of falls off after that.
I mean, Bozo Skeleton isn't the most, like, I mean, it's just kind of hard to go after, to follow that last track.
Yeah.
Like, it is more of a normie-seeming track than, like, yeah.
Jello is now kind of talking about those who try to, like, censor political criticism and stuff like that, but also kind of taking the time to, like, reflect on what it is he does and kind of how silly it is. It's weird. I didn't think it was amazing. I just thought it was kind of okay. Which, like I said, to follow the other ones, it's to its detriment. It's like, it just followed these, and it's like, well, the next track is just about, again, one specific person here. So we got a dude who was bombing trains, and I think it was Austrian. And it said
Austrian,
it was
1931. Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah.
According to the Wikipedia, like, it wasn't sure if it was like politically motivated, like targeted towards like Germans, or what the situation was. The most important thing to me is how it ends. All we know about him really was he bombed 2 trains. One didn't kill anybody, luckily. The other one, unfortunately, did. And then he just kind of disappeared, and we don't know what happened to him.
So he's like the fucking old school Unabomber, basically?
In a way, yeah. Like, some say he went and fought in World War II. Some say he went and died in Korea. We don't know, because his Wikipedia article just says disappeared in 1945. Like, he was arrested, and then he was put in jail, and I think he escaped or was released, and then just no one knows what happened to him after that.
Wow.
But the way the song ends, no matter how many books you ban, no matter how many records you burn, the seeds of fertile fetishes are planted at an early age. And somewhere out there, someone amongst you may at this very moment lust for derailing trains. There was legitimately, he's like, I think Jello makes reference that when he was arrested, his pants were stained with semen.
Whoa.
So
whoa.
There is a possibility that this was a part of some sick fetish that
God,
this was a part that he was satisfying.
Isn't this insane when reality happens like that? Because when I saw that lyric, I thought he was like going like, oh, he's exaggerating, you know, to make a joke about the fact that like this guy, you know, got off doing this, and it's like, oh, what if he literally got? But then to literally point to, I mean, there was semen on his pants, so he at some point had to have jerked off, like, you know, either getting up to it or like, you know, oh well, let me get my jerk beforehand, like, let me get out the stress so I can get this done, you know, like.
You're doing all these things in an attempt to prevent, you know, warping young minds, but what the fuck was there to warp Sylvester's to bomb trains? Like, nothing. There's nothing you could do to prevent that. Like, that just manifests on its own.
But yeah, then they're coming to take me away. A song that pretty damn long, but also just like...
Yeah. That was my problem.
Just like, I kind of got the point, after the first half of it. But like, it is one of those things where like, you know, that feels like it's the point. The fact that it's like droning on and going so long with the mechanical feel of it, you know, the sounds like, you know, the music in a, you know, military game where bombs are falling and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I guess if it didn't precede the song that was 15 minutes.
Right, yeah.
Maybe if you spaced these apart, maybe. But yeah, it got kind of obnoxious, and I understood the part is to sound unhinged. Like, I get that point. But when it essentially ends at 6 minutes, which is already kind of long, and then goes for another 2.5, where it's basically just that same insane instrumental going, and Jello is just ranting and raving. You could barely even make out what he's saying half the time, which is fine. I get it. I get the point. But for me, I just wasn't interested in listening to that for that long. Yeah. You know?
Like,
if you needed to get this out of your system, I respect it, dude. Like, I totally get it. We've all been there. But...
Yeah, I do. I especially like the hook, like... Whenever those came back, when you hear the jiggling effect in his voice, where they're like, hey, they're coming to take me away to the funny farm with birds and things. Yeah. Like, that always kept getting me with how it was just like, you could hear the insanity of like, you know, the image like splitting into multiple different colored images, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And also the way the track started is so weird, because it's so like, not how the rest of the song sounds, where it sounds like you hear like harps and like fluttering shit. So like, I almost forgot, like with how long this track goes, I forgot that I always forget that it starts with that, where it sounds like not mechanical at all, and then it just like falls into it, you know? So it's just like, yeah, it's really overly long, and like, but it's just like such a like, there is nothing else like this, where like, I kind of had to give it the props regardless, you know? And of course the, I am your clock. I am the mirror of your constant humiliation that follows and shadows you wherever you go and blocks out the light at the end of every tunnel you try. Be on time, be on schedule, always feel like you're always late and need more scolding and punishment. Like,
you know what's really ironic? I listened to this song and then I overslept for work this morning.
It's planting rebellious seeds in you, you know, because you're like fucking you get that feeling of just like, yeah, why do I have to be on time? What the fuck does he do for me? You know?
maybe I need to make this song my alarm. Maybe that'll help.
It just starts all
maybe
the
my alarm is too pleasant. And it goes for the whole 15 minutes if I don't stop it.
Oh, that would be awesome. This is like your neighbors are trying to figure like, what the fuck is going on?
There's no snooze. It's just uninterrupted the whole fuck song. Yeah. So I wrote down, and I know this is going to piss off people, but it's essentially Jello sat down and thought, okay, what's the dullest way possible I can say capitalism sucks and take 15 minutes to say it? It's like, I think it's fine. Again, I like the message, and I like how it goes from, you know, the clock, the teacher, the calendar, and all these different things changes, that,
you know,
in their own way, they wouldn't oppress you in any way, but all these things are presented as a bigger piece of how they get like turned against you, and how like if you love school, you'll love work, you'll love working at a job you hate, because all of it, school is basically, at least public school in America, is designed to get you ready for work.
Yeah, you're going to do a job that you're not going to enjoy, but it's just because you're supposed to do it. Like, yeah. And, oh my God, just the way that one lyric is like, the bills were all due yesterday. You failed. You're through. First we form our habits, then they form us. Like, the way, like, the music is so, like, like, bombastic. It feels like you're fighting, like, a boss in a level. And, like, the nightmare character is getting bigger and just saying, like, you failed. I've been able to go into your mind and find all of your insecurities and lay them bare in front of your, you know, family, you know, like, and best friends, you know, like, that's that type of shit.
if it didn't go on for so long,
yeah,
I probably would have liked it more.
Like, it's one of those things.
I was just kind of over it after a while.
But, like, you know, but there can be long songs that do a good job, right? Like, because we listened to, what was the album we listened to? Pink Floyd. You know what I'm saying? You know, where it was just like, okay, there's multi-parts of the song, they're doing different things. It's like, but you still want to enjoy the full experience of it regardless, even if it is, like, a little raucous. Like, but yeah, there's those times when you can overbloat, and it's like, even if I do respect what you're doing, that doesn't mean the presentation of it is automatically good, right? Like, yeah, I get what you're saying on that front, you know.
I was going to say car seat headrest, but then I remembered you didn't like that. So I think that wouldn't be what you were going to reference.
Oh, I'm okay with car seat headrest. They're okay.
It's just those couple songs that go on for a while is what I remember.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I'm remembering now as soon as he's bringing it up, yeah.
I still walked away with a 3.5.
Oh, I give it that 4.5, buddy.
Ooh. I probably would have. There was just that second half just kind of fell off the cliff for me.
I think the concepts for me just pulled me along with it so much that I was just enjoying it, even, like, despite the imperfections of it, right? Like, because, you know, you can have a song where it's like, I can appreciate what this is doing so much that, like, yeah, I see how this part is annoying, but, like, I can still go for it anyway, you know what I mean? Like,
heading into our main event requested by Michael Adamvich, it is DMX.
It's dark.
It's dark.
And you know, coincidentally, hell is hot.
Hell is also hot. How about that?
It's dark. Also, hell is hot.
It's dark.
Wait, is hell dark too, or is that not related?
So we talked about the posthumous DMX release.
Oh yeah.
And now we're heading all the way back.
Oh, the very first, yeah. The album that started it all.
Now, we'll get to the individual topics when we get there, but there is going to be some sensitive topics brought up in a bit, I feel like. Specifically, there's some hate speech that pops up, as well as sexual assault references. Yeah, we'll deal with them as delicately as possible, but just letting you know that, unfortunately, it doesn't exactly age the best. No.
At the same time, it's one of those things where it's just like, this is, you know, the genre, right? Like, the hardcore, this dude is representing the fucking streets and the fucking reality and trying to, like, fucking shock you, like, purposefully trying to get in your brain and, like, jolt you and push you back with, like, the music that he's making, right? And so, like, there's that one level where it's just like, you know, he's letting you into the mind of this, like, you know, madman who's clearly, like, lost his way and is trying to, like, fuck with you, but is still, like, an artist in a weird way where he's trying to, like, present that in the most heightened way. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, so it's like, there's one level where it's just like, oh my God, this is so, like, insane and affecting. But on the other level, it's just like, but it's making me react to, like, him describing his reality in a way that's so, like, no one else is, like, doing this. He sounds like a mad preacher, and, like, you know, hearing, like, actual what sounds like fucking church bells, you know, it's like that demented, you know, flip on something that's supposed to sound, you know, religious or whatever. Because, like, when you listen to his voice does sound like a fucking preacher. Like, it sounds like, you know, the East Coast version of Mystical, you know, in a very interesting way. And he comes across as someone who takes you to dark places, but then also takes you to, like, you know, places of desperation and calling out for help. And it feels honest in both places, you know what I mean? Like, it never feels like, oh my God, and this is the song where he has to say, Lord, give me a sign. You know what I mean? It honestly feels like, and after that really dark shit, it feels like he's like, oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with me? I need to get right. Like, you know, like, it feels like you feel the actual emotional yo-yoing happening, you know? And in fact, doesn't he, like, legitimately call himself out as having, like, dealing with mental health issues? I think he, like, specifically says, like, for someone who I grew up listening, you know, like, DMX was just the guy that was there that, of course, you respected. You know what I mean? He was like, oh, that's the street rapper who, like, oh, but he's got the fucking hit songs because you can't deny him because he's so fucking real. Everyone can hear how fucking real he is and his fucking delivery. And also, he's a very fucking clever clever guy, like with how he like does turns of phrase, with how he turns around like rhymes. Like there's a thing that you can do where, when you're trying to make something rhyme, but you don't necessarily have all the words that can make it rhyme, so you use the next words of what would be the next line to rhyme, but you punctuate it in a way where it feels like it actually works with the phrasing, so it doesn't feel like stilted. He does that a lot, like where you can tell he has control of how he's rhyming and shit like that, So like there's the talent as well as like the fucking just raw like reality of feeling like, oh, this guy's not fucking kidding, but he's also like just really good at fucking doing this. That in a way made up for the cheap is a way of saying the description of someone like the musicality, but it does kind of have a dated feel where it's just like, oh man, this really was the first album, wasn't it? Like y'all didn't have all the production bells and whistles yet, so y'all was working with what y'all had, but it's still has its own charm to it, right?
I didn't really mind the production too much. I guess there was just ones that I liked more than other ones, but there weren't any that I wrote down and was just like, wow, this sounds really dated and cheap. But
nothing's awful, but
I gotta cut to the chase and just mention this before I forget, but fucking Crime Story with the bongos?
Oh,
you fucking put bongos?
Wow. You got the bongos and the fucking
DMX coming through with the bongos.
Oh my god! And the Ice-T, because it's originally, it's not originally from an Ice-T song, but it was sampled. That's the price you gotta pay if you want to be a high roller. Do 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 do. And the way they updated the sound, oh, that shit was so fucking cool and slick. That was just another thing I just remembered. Do you remember that thing like a couple of years back about how like, oh, the rappers who use the most words, and like I think the person with the most words is like A$AP Rock, and the person with the least was DMX. And it was one of those things where they specifically noted that they were like, now just because they use like the least words maybe means like, hey, he doesn't have as much education like related to these person, but if you like that is not to not account for like the emotionality, topics, like, and just the fact of how he's able to put words together. Like he makes multisyllabic rhymes with small words so much in the same way that Biggie does, where it's like he doesn't need to use big words because he's putting together so many small words to make rhymes happen in multisyllabic ways that it's like you hear him constantly doing that in a way that I feel is really clever, and just wanted to take note of.
The big takeaway, or the big thing that really drew me in for most of these songs, was his delivery, was the energy, because it is very unique. I couldn't tell you anybody else that sounds exactly like this or was rapping this way.
Like the dog sound effects thing that he did, like he really does own that on this album, like. I
thought it was weird that he whimpered like a dog on one track, but we'll get to that.
That was the thing that really like made me like really take it seriously, where it's just like, not only are you doing like the hardcore thing, but you're also showing the emotional vulnerability of like an animal's voice too. Like, but let's start with this intro and get right into it, because like I absolutely hate these fucking skits. They are so meandering and a waste of time.
The skits are bad.
You hate the
meandering. I don't like the skits. You're right.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. I think the intro, as an intro, is okay.
Sure.
I think it sets the pace. It really gives you the mood. It lets you know what you're in for, feel-wise, tone-wise. But yeah, it takes forever to get there.
Yeah, you're like, who are you talking to?
I would definitely just always skip to the second track, because I don't need that whole conversation at the beginning. I don't need that.
So what I'm doing is what my man's is doing. Like, oh wait, what? What are you talking about? Like, it sounds like they just wanted to get. He wanted to say something, but he wanted to feel like he was saying it to someone. So it's like, get somebody to just start talking to him, and then allow him to get into what his point is. It's like, yeah. So like. Locking down the industry on that power shit, dog, that's my man's in them. Huh, I see. So what I'm doing, my man's in them is doing. Right, because that's my man's in them. So you feel me? Now, so, when you fucking with me, you fucking with, and then it gets into the song, and it's just like, I feel like there was a quicker way to do that.
Yeah, you definitely could have shaved off a little bit of time. Now, here might be a controversial statement for me. I think Rough Riders Anthem is one of the weaker cuts on the album.
Oh, wow.
If not the weakest cut on the album. Maybe. Actually, no. There is one I ranked lower, but I thought this was so underwhelming as like a first out the gate track,
especially
after the intro.
Compared to all of like his singles after this album, which are where he gets better. Yeah, this does feel kind of like not the best showing. Like, this is clearly like the, you know, getting up out of the mud, still haven't polished all the dust off. This is what I sound like raw, you know? Like, yeah, I get that.
I think it's such a step up with Fuckwit D from Rough Riders Anthem. I think Fuckwit D is such a better track.
Oh, I wanted to know real quick, just in the intro, that part where he goes like, niggas is puss, keep on running from the werewolf. And then you hear the howling that he does, howling on the moon. And it's so intense, like it's unexpectedly hoarse, where he's just like, oh, and it's just like, oh my fucking God. Like, yeah, that shit was so intense. But yeah, going back with, now, Fucking with D, I enjoyed, and it was definitely a good track, but what the fuck was up with the way it ended? Like, and I remembered this where it was like, I think I remember listening to the song before and feeling like, wait, have I never heard the full track before? Because it feels like it just abruptly ends. Like, it doesn't have like a, oh, and now here's the rollout, or here's the like the last bar, and then it like cuts off in a way where it's just like, you know, you can tell it's ending. It's just like, just don't stress that, kid, and then just like pops right into the next part, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? Like,
and yeah, and then we're into a fucking skit after that.
Yeah,
we'll get to the skit here in a second, because I wanted to quote Fuckwit D before we get to the second pointless skit. Left him blown away, you know he hurt before he died. Makes you wonder if he lost his shirt before he died. Only two knew the answer, and one of us is dead. So anyone who seeks the truth can get it straight to the head. Then you and him can discuss what I did. Yeah, it was wrong, dog, but I slid. I'll repent one day, but just not right now. You hear my shit all over the street. I'm kind of hot right now.
The way this motherfucker talks, like, you hear my shit on the street. I'm kind of hot right now. Like, there's so much personality in how he talks. Like
he's like, yeah, I know it was wrong. I'll repent, but I'm kind of busy. You understand, right? Yeah, okay.
That's the slickness that I'm talking about, that like makes it feel like you're being pulled into the moment. Like specifically that point of him saying like, so anyone see who seeks the truth can get it straight to the head. Then you and him can discuss what I did. Like, just that extra layer of reality of like, and then in the afterlife, you could, how about you talk to him?
Yeah, then, because it's not the time for it now. Yeah, I thought that was a fucking sick track. But then what we need is one guy criticizing DMX, saying, you know, he doesn't really do this shit in real life that like he does on the record, right? Yeah. And the other guy's like, oh yeah? Who'd you hear that from?
Right.
And he's like, you know, the guys over there. And the guy's like, well, you know, you out here listening to them on the corner, smoking blunts and 40s and all that shit. That shit look cool and all that. That shit ain't cool, man. You know what I'm saying? Your head, and then it just cuts off.
It's like, so you need some help, man. Look, your eyes are like it sounds like someone who's actually caring about a friend in that moment, where it's just like, this wasn't actually a skit. I called you in for an intervention. Like, I'm trying to help you.
But what the fuck brings it on? Dude talking about DMX.
Yeah, it's like he's talking.
He's like,
about,
you know what, man? I've been worried about you for a while. Like,
right.
I know you've been slipping down a slippery path and all that, but I've been able to sit idly by and watch. But
the
now
DMX
that you're
was the last
criticizing
straw.
DMX on the record, no, this is the step too far. You're going down a path that I don't think you can get back from. I need to step in.
Like, because I mean, have you not heard these tracks so far? DMX will kill you. Stop talking shit. I think that's really what
he pulls the record out of his pocket. This right here, this shit. You're not listening to this yet?
You're on it. But just the way he goes, like he doesn't know, it's like, oh shit, I am. But just the way he goes, like, just the way the setup of the argument goes, Jesus is having a good time. Of the reality of that situation. This person realizing that, like,
you're on it.
Oh shit, how is time and space happening here? Am I on it right now? Like, wait, what's happening?
He points to the storm and is like, that's us.
Like, you've
right
always
now.
been on it.
What? Oh my god. Holy shit.
But no, just the way he fucking tries to set it up where it's just like, oh man, he's saying he be robbing and, you know, robbing niggas and all that. But man, that's whack, man. That's bullshit. And then the other guy goes like, wait, but you rob niggas. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, I'm saying I do, but he's rich. He shouldn't be doing it. Right. It's like, what type of weird, and like I said, and then it twists into that, oh man, you're not doing good. You came by mom's house and she was, kind of disappointed. Like, it's such a weirdly incongruent emotional thing with where this song is going. And it's called The Storm. I thought it was going to be like some dudes are talking shit and then like fucking DMX and a, Tasmanian devil, twisting of like guns and knives comes out of nowhere and just like stabs and fucks the dude up. And the next song goes like,
no, just because it's raining.
Yeah, it just happened to be raining.
Yeah, it's just raining in the background. That's it.
But then we get into an actual, like, super deep sounding track that, like I said, starts with the dog whimpering sound.
Yeah.
So you're just like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? Like, and he's actually like saying some fucking shit in here. It's like, this is it. Y'all niggas got to give me a plate. For the same reason my fate chose to give me the weight, take away the hate. Now I'm supposed to love the one that cursed me, the one that wouldn't give me a cup of water when I was thirsty. Just like going into like actual deep shit. Like it's not just like life is hardcore shit and I'm just saying generic hardcore shit. Like he's going into the specifics of his mentality that makes it like, holy shit, I'm like seeing his world. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. Like that level of artistry with it. This dude can like represent that real street shit because he actually is that. But it's like, but he actually has something to say as like an artist, It's so fucking dope listening to him, He
knows you're afraid of him and is like, well, yeah, you should be. That was one of the highest rated tracks for me. Now,
Get at
me, dog is one of my lower rated tracks here.
The way you feel about first track is how I feel about this track. This feels like the step down and like the quality for me.
F-slur aside, because he drops that in this one, it's the first of 3 on the record, which is annoying. But what I thought was even more worth pointing out, this was originally a Tupac diss.
Yeah!
He just changed a few things and made it about someone else. That feels so lazy. Like, you just couldn't write a new one? Like, hey, I had this one about Tupac, but Tupac's dead now, so I can't release that. Let me just change a few words here, and it's about somebody else now. What the fuck is that?
This album came out in 1998, so Tupac had been dead for 2 years by this point.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, and just be like, I still want to keep that song. That song was fucking dope, so I can't get rid of it.
I can't throw that one away. It's like, you can't? You sure?
Yeah.
It's possibly one of the weakest tracks on the album so far. Like, it could easily be cut, maybe.
Yeah, and it gets
into over.
Like the fucking beefs that like rappers have where you just kind of go like, how is this really that important? Like, where he's just like, transforming ass niggas will get it quick. And yo, for real, that nigga K can suck my dick. And a reference to, and I remember this from the Beef DVDs. K Solo, a moderately successful rapper in the early 90s with whom DMX feuded. They accused each other of like, one person stole the song Spellbound, and like K Solo had it originally in 1990. And I remember having that weird feeling of like, wait, K Solo, DMX, are they even of the same like hip-hop generation? Like, what is either of them being?
Yeah,
like, what is the ego where these people are mad at each other and over what? And I was thinking like, for some like, dope ass song. Like, no, I spit that lyric. It's like Spellbound, a song about spelling. It's like, that's not the most like, like this dude's a gangster dude starting fucking real beefs with motherfuckers, impersonating officers. DMX going through like real shit, and yet he's like weirdly angry about this dude over like this concept song the song that wasn't even a hit. You know what I mean? Like, wasn't even
right.
Like, oh, you stole the royalties. It was just kind of like. I guess if anyone remembers that song that he did in his mixtape days, that was like a side song that like, it's like, even if he did rip it off, it's like lots of people were spelling shit back then. So, okay.
Yeah.
It's so like who cares?
I think Let Me Fly might be, it's definitely in the upper crust on the record for me. All the verses are solid, I thought, but I had to quote this bit. I sold my soul to the devil and the price was cheap. And yo, it's cold in his level because it's twice as deep. But you don't hear me, ignorance is bliss, and so on. Sometimes it's better to be thought dumb. Shall I go on?
Yeah.
Yo, on the real, what's the deal? It's a mystery. How can I live and make history? If you don't see it, then it wasn't meant for you to see. If you wasn't born in it, it wasn't meant for you to be. but you can't blame me for wanting to be held, locked down in a cell where my soul can't dwell. This is hell. Come meet the devil and give me the key. But it can't be worse than the curse that's what been given to me. It's what I live for. You take away and I'm gone. That's the difference between doing wrong and being wrong. And that ain't right. Just be fair, baby. Put me in the air and I'll take it from there, baby. It's like, whoa, holy shit.
Didn't know, yet I persisted. It was the call of the wild. I merely say what's in my heart, and you call it a style. Like, just that lyric on its own, and it's like, I'm just giving you the real. You're calling this, like, you're saying that it fits in the hip-hop, like, you know, genre. But no, this is just, like, my reality, bitch. Like, you know?
This one here is the one we were gonna talk about sooner or later. X is coming.
Oh, boy.
It's got the 1, 2, X is coming.
Yeah,
It's got the fucking
he's
Freddy
on
shit.
fucking Freddy Krueger shock. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it so sets you up into that fucking world of like, no, I'm trying to fucking get at your heart. What will make you fucking your soul, you know, fucking cringe? You know what I mean? Like,
I'm sitting here. I fucking quoted this part. The who's afraid of the dark? Responsible for the murders in the park. When I bark, you hear the boom, and then you see the spark. And I see the part of your head, which used to be your face, being replaced by nothing for bluffing. What a waste! Like, whoa, holy shit! And then you got, like, this scary-ass beat with, like, the zero electrical zapping noises.
Yeah, it's not, oh man, this shit is so insane. But then
he hits you with it.
Yeah, okay, so sexual assault content warning, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm gunning for your spouse, trying to send that bitch back to a maker. And if you got a daughter older than 15, I'm a raper.
But that, how he twists the knife even further is like, putting you in that moment with what he says next, right? Where he's like, you know, take her on the living room floor right in front of you, then ask you, seriously, what you gonna do? Like, the way he says it, then ask you, seriously, what you wanna do? Frustrating, isn't it? Wanna kill me, but I'ma kill you. Now watch me do it just a little longer, please, will you? Like, it's that Eminem fucking, you know, I'm this wacky fucking insane character and I'm like twisting the knife of like putting you in the scenario like, no, you think you crazy? I'm fucking crazy. You know, like,
it's hard to listen back to that. Like, is anyone in their car singing along to that?
Yeah, see, that's the thing of it, right? It's like, it's not, you know, music to sing along to when you want to be a better person.
It has its own place.
Yeah, right. It's that level of like that's what I was thinking about for like, I had listened to someone actually talking about the Chronic 2001 album or whatever, and this is like, yeah, it's like great beats and like, but super misogynist lyrics, and you can't act like that's not there. And someone had made a point where it's just like, it's putting you in the aesthetic of their like dark sense of humor. So it's like one of those things where like the fact that they're being so intense about it is like making the point that you're not supposed to take it seriously, but it's in that sense of humor that like lots of people have where it's like exaggerating something is more the way of comically being like that's someone's level of humor, right? Like gross, dark exaggeration, you know, to be like, this is so fucked up. And if it was pushed in your face, wouldn't that get you, you know? And so like, that's like the level that I feel like I get like when I hear this song, right? Because at the same time, like I said, if I were to go to the later track, ATF, you know, literally, I mean, no, not ATF, the Crime Story song. Like that song is about him, you know, going into, and the whole thing is like, you know, he had this slinky beat and all this cool shit about like how he's trying to get around the law and do all this shit. And the song ultimately ends about him going into a police precinct and fucking blowing himself up and taking all the cops with him. You know, and it's like, okay, you don't actually think he is a proponent in, you know, suicide bombing a police. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he doesn't actually think that. The point is that this is like to show you just how fucking dark his mind is.
There is like an element of like, you know, shock for shock, right? But then it's like, I'm looking at the slurs, right?
And those are less excusable, way less excusable, yeah.
And yeah, because it's like, I know he didn't put that same kind of thing. He just thought that was okay. You know? It wasn't like, I'm going to say this to shock him, you know?
Yeah, right, that's the difference.
But you know, I'm really not like that.
Yeah.
Fucking Mace later on seriously says slays gays. Fuck Mace.
Oh my god, yeah. I was like,
there's no fucking excuse for that motherfucker.
Jesus Christ.
But what I wanted to point out was there's another line on and we'll get back to Damien. I don't mean to skip it entirely because I really did like that song, but go into How's It Going?
I feel so weird about this song because it's like the hook of it is so like this is just the rap song of the day about like, you know, like that fucking Mace song, you know, take a look at what you see, generic song, because, you know, chicks like these types of songs. But the verses are, like, oddly specific with the situation that he's talking about.
Knew she was a thug, because when I met her, she had a scarf on. 54'11", size 11 in girls. Baby face would look like she was 11 with curls.
What?
What the fuck is that?
I was trying to find
What is that
where I was just
doing
like,
here?
wait, what does that mean? What does that really mean? You know, we're in that way where you're like, am I avoiding what this actually means by nothing? You know, like...
That, I think it's fair enough to say, who's singing along to that?
She looks like she's
because
11
this song is meant
like,
to be
what?
taken seriously.
But just like the fact of that, like you bring up the way more crass lyric, but just like the lyric that it started with, knew she was a thug because when I met her, she had a scarf on. Like what?
I don't know what the fuck that means either. That was just totally out of left field. Like, oh yeah, that's the fucking sign, I guess. I don't know.
She's got that Afghan, you know she's hard body.
Oh shit, she's got the ascot. Just backtracking for a second to Damien, where DMX is he's doing a one-man show for you, where he plays himself. He's himself, he's his son, and he's Damien.
And it's that character is like the slick talking guy who's like a rat like this. Sounds like somebody that, you know, a comedian would play, like a Damon Wayans or some shit like that, you know? And I just love it.
It fucking reminded me of Kendrick and Lucy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like, it's such a like, you know he does this gruff voice like this. It's a for him to like, switch it up like this. And you're just like, and
it's so cartoony.
Silly, but then you accept it in that weird way. You're just like, this guy is going so like full tilt with it that you kind of have no choice but to be like, find it endearing.
Now, what I thought was funny was the hypothetical way that DMX and his son talk to each other. Like, how old is his son supposed to be?
Man, that's what I've been wanting all my life. Think about my little man. So I call out my wife. He says, hey, your dad is about to make it happen. And so it's like, what you mean, my nigga? Like, I'm about to make it happen.
And I did like how, and I don't know because I'm not too well versed in DMX to be completely honest here, but the way it ends with the to be continued, I really hope there isn't a part 2 because I really like how this one ends. It's just kind of like, you don't know how it's gonna go.
Right, yeah. How could this end up going? Like, oh, this guy's, he like, it genuinely gets you, right? Because you're like, wait, is this character gonna kill his friend for this guy? Like, how is this gonna go?
Because Damien's like, oh yeah, I got one more job for you. Hey, it's this guy I used to fuck with way back when. And DMX is like, no, not him. And he's like, it's either me or him. And it's like, if you don't do it, I'm fucking cutting off your hand. And he's like, well, shit. And the way he fucking does the goddamn Star Wars...
Here we go again.
Where it's like, I don't know where it's gonna go, but then the fucking voice, to be continued, motherfuckers. It's like, oh no, I just want it to end right there. I don't know. Hopefully there's not a part 2, and if there is, I don't want to hear it.
Oh, getting to how's it going down? Like I said, like it feels like it's going to be like the generic sort of like, yeah, girl, you know you need to cheat on your man for me because I'm better. You know, the fucking, you know, the Nelly song, you know, no matter what I do, I really love your dick because you're just so cool, Nelly, you know, like... Heard he smacked you because you said my name while y'all was sexing. He ran up on this cat who thought he was me and started flexing. You know, I ain't even with that. So you gonna have to get that just on GP. Trying to creep me? Shit, I'm gonna leave this nigga sleepy on the string of you. Well, that's the kid's daddy. I ain't gonna send him on his way, put him up in that big caddy, but let him know, never mind, yo, I need to go. Take the snow up to 150 and see Joe. Like, in the way it, like, twists in that moment where it's just like, I should kill this motherfucker, but, you know, that's your kid's dad. I shouldn't do that. You know, like, but also the intimacy of the situation of like, hey, we're actually cool. We're just going to sit here and chill, smoke this blunt. And hey, could you do one more run for me just like old times? You know, like, it's just like a weird, like, what the fuck? Like, it doesn't even feel romantic.
Very
it
strange.
just feels like we are two people who have a friendship relationship and we kind of do favors for each other and da-da-da. Like, it so breaks it down in a weirdly real way that, like, it's kind of endearing based on that. Like, I can't even tell if I like really like it as like a song to listen to, but it's just like, but it so gives you something different from what you expect from these type of songs. Like just a different color where it like throws you off, you know?
I didn't honestly remember half that shit, so it's like, fuck, man. Okay, now I do gotta go back and listen to that one because, yeah, it's more complex than I remember it being.
Yeah, so, and like the way it ends is he says, but she belonged to cuz, couldn't belong to me. She had 2 kids with this nigga. It was wrong for me. It was like, but we gonna always be the best of friends. Mad love, boo, to the end. Ha ha. Like that little part. Like, yeah, he's just like, we always gonna be the best of friends. Ha ha. Mad love, boo, to the end. Ha ha. Like, it's so like, feels so cordial that like, you know there's no like hate in his heart. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it doesn't come off like the, oh, fine, go back to that, you know, asshole, but you know who's best for you. Like, it genuinely comes off and was like, hey,
that is oddly refreshing.
Yeah, right? Like, it's so weird.
Stop Being Greedy.
Oh, Lord.
And ATF back to back. I thought those two were really strong tracks.
For all my life, I always thought, like, Stop Being Greedy. Like, that was the thing that I remember listening to and being like, yo, this motherfucker really is good. Like, the way, oh my God, the fucking music video, the falling organ line, like, yeah, where it's like, shows him the split in half, like, the cool guy Earl and, like, Darkman X, you know, like, oh my God.
Oh shit, I gotta see that.
And, oh man, you gotta watch it. Like, and just the way he's like, flips, you know what, we said that thing about how like, you know, using the last 2 lines to sort of like lead into the next part with the rhyme and sort of thing. I love how he fucking does that on this track, where he goes like, you know, I can flip that flow, I can stick that hoe, I can get that dough, you know, with that, yo. And the thing about this shit, I came through, I haven't seen, but when it gets dark, it's like a nigga's having dreams or nightmares, the light dares to desert me, you know, like, and how he flips on every 4 bars, and it's like, but like everything feels like, as he's saying the line, it sounds like he's like, at the end of the 4 bars, he like shakes his head and like goes back into like the next part, you know?
Yeah.
So he's like, you know, paranoid. So I strike out at whatever, the closest thing that's gonna get it to, but never will I think no, fuck, let me say it again. He was like, yeah, paranoid. So I strike out at whatever, the closest thing to me is gonna get it, but never will I kill I think death is wrong. So I'm gonna keep holding on to what's left. You know, it's like, it's like, will I kill? Yeah. Oh, no, death is wrong. I thank the Lord every day that I'm blessed with the gift. I'm the best, so unless you want to rest with the stiff, don't touch that. Leave it alone. When you walk past the dog house, leave it a bone, because dogs bite. Dogs fight. You know? Like,
with these 2 tracks back to back, we're talking about the production, I didn't mention it earlier. I love how some of these songs, these 2 in particular, have like black and white horror movie sound effect, like soundtrack music going on in the background.
The violins and the creepy fucking organs and shit. It's so
you just think
cool.
Like fucking Bela Lugosi ass shit going on. Like that's the kind of picture I got going on listening to these.
I'm drunk, so I'm gonna blast his head wide open, begging me to stop, but at least he died open. Like, Jesus Christ. At least he died open. Oh, man. And, oh, yeah, the other part where he goes like, you know, it's like, many questions, no answers, stress. Try to hold my head and remember that I'm blessed with the curse, and it gets worse as time goes by. Can't see straight because I'm so high.
Damn.
Holy shit. Yeah. And then fucking ATF. Oh, man. Yeah, with the horror violin screeches at the beginning. And, again, the ominous bell noise. That is DMX's calling card. Oh, my God. And the fucking story. This man really is, like, fucking, like, the more fucking dangerous sounding Slick Rick, right? With the fucking, the way he lays out the story, he was like, hey, look, damn, oh, came so close. You almost hit that bitch. Yeah, nigga, almost. Oh, shit, the cops hit her, and I know they ain't gonna leave her. Go up there, make a left, pull it off, take a breathe. And, like, just the fact that we're just like, oh, yeah, we avoided killing her, and then it's like, oh, shit, they just did. Okay, they're ruthless, let's go. You know?
Worst cut on the album is For My Dogs.
Yeah. It's so like a, well, you know, we had to make this track for my best friends.
For my dogs. For my dogs. I like the beat, but I didn't think any of the guest verses were memorable. I thought DMX's was the best one, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
But that fucking repeating chorus was so annoying.
Yeah. It's like just needed some sort of switch up happening. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I felt really about I Can Feel It either. Like, I thought it was okay.
I was like, you know, I feel like I think Lil' Kim also did a flip of this song as well. Like, I can feel it coming. And it's with this, I was like, I don't know, maybe it needed a different singer or something.
I thought that exactly. It was like too underwhelming.
Yeah, like this needed a CeeLo Green or something.
Singer
like,
doing it.
Yeah. And
I think it could have worked better.
Because I think his verses weren't that bad as I went back to it, but I was just like, something about this feels like too, I don't want to say too silly, but like, you know, it's expected to do the hip hop cover of a, you know, famous like song like by the late 90s, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you're going to do it, you want to do like, you know, you want to really make something out of it where it's just like, it feels like this is the next level and not just like, you know, it's like just kind of doing a cheap, like, pop for the pop's sake. You know what I mean?
But from there, I think it's just smooth sailing.
First of all, you get the prayer, which is just such an emotion. The best skit on the album.
There you go. Yeah, there's at least one good skit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's really... And I don't even know if you could even call it a skit. It's just like a spoken word.
Prayer, yeah.
It kind of works as an intro to the convo, but it stands on its own, too.
It really does. Because especially when you get... And it's so funny because I was like, wow, I always remember feeling like, DMX was the East Coast like Tupac and actually kind of carried on the mantle by, continuing to be creative and stuff like that. And, like representing, a gangster's pain, but also doing it in a way that's not generic, you know what I mean? That has real personality to it. And a lot of people like noted, especially like, ghetto hood dudes, like what people really liked about him was like that earnest spirituality that he had to him that is like, even though I'm talking all this dark shit, like, I really am trying to get out of it. And, this dark shit is me unleashing like the darkness part of my creativity, but I genuinely like don't want to be this person and I want to be better and I want to try to improve the world because everyone's a human fucking being, right? Like, and oh my God, when it gets to the end, I remember at first feeling like, maybe it's a little lengthy, but like when it gets to the end, when you feel the raw emotionality of what the fuck he's saying, and he's like, where he says like, and I fear that what I'm saying won't be heard till I'm gone, but it's all good because I really didn't expect to live long. So if it takes for me to suffer, for my brother to see the light, give me pain till I die. But please, Lord, let him see the light. That was just like a holy fucking shit. Like, like you could feel that I love this person so much. I want for their salvation, even if it's not coming for me, like that's the shit that felt like it should have been like, right before the For My Dog song, if that song was better, like.
And it hit specifically different as someone who didn't hear that song until he was dead.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I never heard it before, so now I'm hearing it for the first time, and it's like, it hits different,
Especially for this man who definitively suffered pain all of his life, like... Yeah. Yeah, and was struggling with it. Like, we have the hindsight of knowing for a fact, like, it only marginally got better by the fact of him being rich, but no, he was still kind of slipping and falling and not getting up,
I thought the convo with DMX and God trading bars was really strong.
Especially going through the part of the, like the way he, personified that poem of the,
the footprints.
Yeah. I love how he said it in a way that felt real, It's like, see the light down the road? It's going to guide you there. 2 sets of footprints, I was right beside you there. What about the times I only saw one? Those were the times when I was under the gun. And it was then that I carried you, son. Like, led you to safety. Just wasn't your time to face me. And a few of the times I thought you would erase me. When all you did was embrace me, prepared me for the worst, offered me eternal life, and scared me with the hearse. And the curse turned to grace when the hurt turned to faith. No more running or sliding in the dirt because I'm safe. Like, I love that. Like, just that fucking, talking about higher topics, but also doing like a slick, baseball metaphor there. You know what I mean? Like
I've heard so many people do twists on the fucking footprints poem that it's almost become a fucking meme.
Sure.
But
right?
he fucking did it in a way that was like, oh shit.
You
like,
feel
it
the
fucking
earnestness
sounded
of it.
dope.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, he really did something totally different with that one. I love that one.
Yeah.
And man, except for Mace, the last track was pretty dope too.
Yeah.
Locks were delivering. DMX, again, I gotta say, with his extra long verse at the end there, was the best by a wide margin.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a really strong way to end the album.
Oh my God, the lyrics was like, I lost my mind when he crossed the line, sent his back through his chest, then I tossed the 9. Like, he sent his back through his chest. Holy God.
Yeah, fuck me.
What would you give this album?
I know I'm still gonna catch hate. I gave it a 4.
Man, I am going to give it a 5.
Yeah, I knew it. I fucking knew it. I was like, I'm gonna come out looking bad on this one. A 4 ain't gonna be enough. I know it.
Because like there is just so much like great creative. Like I definitely could see how the blemishes on this like make it like they are kind of hard to not notice. Like, oh, I just want to listen to the song about the 15-year-old. Like, no, like yeah, definitely can see that.
Yeah, and it's like, and I don't want to seem like, because there's lots of music I listen to that wouldn't make sense to sing along with. So it was pretty stupid for me to even say that because like it all has its own use, I guess it's just like when
you can't act like it doesn't affect you, right? Like, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, but if that's the point, then it's like, well, you know, you can't hate on it if that's the fucking point. If it was supposed to do that, you know, then it fucking worked.
For the blemishes that I still do see, like I said, in some of the, you know, lackluster weak verses and stuff, there's so much that makes up for it that makes this album really stand like a cut above the average fucking gangster rap album that was out at the time. That it really is just like, yo, this motherfucker really was like raising this shit to that next level of fucking art. Like, it's insane. And he put out another album like later this year. So that's kind of like nuts. Like, not only did he put out a good album, he then just put out another one.
But that about does it for this week's show. And as a very quick reminder, we mentioned it at the top, but if there is an album that you want to request for the show, please head on over to our Ko-fi. That is ko-fi.com/goinoff. That's GOINOFF. Follow us on our socials, Twitter, our individual Patrons. Follow us on our YouTubes, because we both post content of our own. RC on Twitch. I'm on Fanhouse. Make sure to rate us on Spotify and or Apple. Even if you're not listening to us on either one, you can still, you know, you can still rate us.
Yeah, let the people know that they need to stop listening to those other whack ass podcasts and come through for who's giving you the real heat when it comes to music reviews. You know, we're planting the flag.
Fucking stepping up in 2022, giving you 3 goddamn albums a show.
Right.
Like,
who else?
Who else is doing this?
Only on the Going On podcast.
And until next time, for Going Off, I'm Muse.
And I'm the Rap Critic. And stop, drop, shut them down, then establish a business location where your competitors previously occupied.